Es increíble cómo pasa el tiempo. Ya hace 14 años que abrimos Maido. Empezamos con 30 personas, colaboradores, ahora somos casi 100. Y el único motivo por el cual yo abrí Maido en un principio fue para tener un restaurante y hacer a la gente feliz. Así de simple. Al final Maido se ha convertido en mi vida, en mi hijo, en mi familia. Pero eso no es todo. Está Maido, pero luego también durante el tiempo nos dimos, porque yo hablo siempre en plural porque es el equipo también que te va nutriendo, que te va diciendo, la gente en la calle, ¿no? Los amigos, ¿no? Siempre, Micha, ¿cuándo va a ser un concepto para la gente? Como decimos en Perú? Para que todos podamos ir a comer. En Maido no todos pueden venir a comer por temas de espacio, por temas de precio. Es un espacio en el cual no es excluyente. Tenemos carta, tenemos menú de degustación. Nos dimos cuenta que había que llegar a más gente, que la alegría estaba en poder darle de comer o hacer que la gente pueda comer tu cocina con un concepto distinto, no importa. Y ese concepto es el pollo a la brasa. El pollo a la brasa es, podría decirse, hasta más importante que el ceviche para las familias en el Perú, porque el pollo a la brasa es unión, es alegría, es sabrosura, es cultura, ¿no? Tori es inclusión, Tori es democratizar lo delicioso. Salsas MT, ¿no? Que son salsas que acompañan los pollos y que también nos han acompañado en Maido en su momento. Hay unas que se de la casa, hay unas que se compra, el que más les guste, y decidimos hacer las salsas. ¿Por qué? Porque para comer el pollo con las papas, que no es lo único que hay en Tori, pues las salsas es lo que lo hace más delicioso. Y dijimos, lancemos una línea de salsas del Perú para el mundo. Y es así como nacen las salsas MT, un poco por Tori, por la pollería, un poco por Maido, porque Maido, acá la gente cuando venía me pedía, oye, regálame un poquito de tu salsa de amarillo, regálame un poquito de tu salsa chifera. De esta manera, ¿a dónde llegamos? Pasamos desde Maido, ¿no? Nos vamos a Tori, ampliamos mucho más el espectro y luego nos vamos a las casas con las salsas MT para que la gente las use en sus almuerzos, con su familia o para cocinar. Entonces, todo eso acá, si lo vemos de alguna manera, es democratizar, nuevamente, y valga la redundancia, lo delicioso. Y creo que ese es el futuro, porque mientras más gente pueda probar lo que haces, más feliz serás. To understand Nikkei, first of all, Nikkei, I am Nikkei. Nikkei, I would say, embraces the second, third, fourth generation of Japanese, and also the expats. Japanese that live abroad are also called Nikkei, and also the stock exchange, Nikkei 225 in Japan. So, so that is Nikkei. That's the word. How this word gets together with the word cuisine. Well, we talked about in this in this talk before coming, because he was in a big auditorium, and I told a story there, because many people in Peru even don't know how this came up, and it was as many things in the cuisine or in gastronomy as a mistake, because some mistakes become into end up being a dish, end up being beautiful things. So to make it short, because we have a bunch of questions, I think, and I talk too much. Basically, it's there was a very important, and I know we have many friends that own restaurants here, and also Nikkei restaurants, like for example Itamae, which is a great Nikkei restaurant here in Miami. Well, Diego is not here, but we were 2 weeks ago in La Mar celebrating the 10 years of La Mar. So now we have Osaka here also. So I think that everybody in Miami, I think people know what Nikkei is, but the term comes from an interview to Humberto Sato. Humberto Sato was the chef and owner of Costanera 700, one of the pioneers of Nikkei cuisine, which was not called Nikkei cuisine 60 years ago, because people were going there to eat good food. Japanese, Peruvian, they didn't know what really. For them, it was a Peruvian restaurant, with a different touch, with different flavors. So he gives an interview in the 1970s to one of the biggest journalists and poets. He did a lot of poetry. He came from France. He was into all this move of the nouvelle cuisine, and he wanted to do an interview regarding food. Actually, the first interview that was given to a chef in a newspaper in Peru was Humberto Sato, and he asked a bunch of questions to him, and he said, uh, Rodolfo Nostroza asked Humberto Sato, the chef, so tell me about your cuisine. What do you do? I am Nikkei. My parents are from Japan. I'm a second generation Japanese, and I do what my mom and my grandmother, because this cuisine was forged in houses, and I do it the way I grew. I was when I was a kid, and now I start to put some olive oil, because it's not only putting Japanese and Peruvian ingredients, it's just being creative in a way. But he said, I am Nikkei, and I like to put, olives in my octopus. I like to do rice and beans with seafood. I like to put some spiciness or ajíes to my sashimi, and that's my style. When he writes the article, because we didn't have phones or recorders at that time. He was writing the notes. He made a mistake, and he said that the cuisine that Humberto Sato was doing was Nikkei. So when the chef reads the article, he gets really pissed off, and he calls the Rodolfo and tells him there's no such thing as Nikkei cuisine, doesn't exist. And he said, no, you told me you did Nikkei cuisine. He said, I didn't say that. Let me go over my notes. So he went through his notes, and he said, oh, really? So I messed up. It's not Nikkei cuisine, but it's already published. So it's already published. I cannot do anything about it. And it stayed there for about 30 years. Everybody forgot about Nikkei cuisine. And that is when, of course, Gaston Acurio, with all these, let's get Peru together and be proud of what we have. We started investigating, because we as Peruvians, as chefs, didn't know really much about Peruvian cuisine. We have to rediscover our cuisine, to travel around Peru, to read the books, to start, bringing all the information from universities, talk to anthropologists, to historians, to the people who knew about the history of Peruvian food, to understand first how this I would say beautiful cuisine was built. And there was this newspaper where we found the name for this. I don't like to say the word fusion, because in Peru, everything is a melting pot. We have Chinese, we have Spanish, we have African, we have Japanese, and all this becomes chifa, becomes tallarines verdes con apanado, becomes ají de gallina, becomes mondonguito italiana, all these dishes, chaufa, tiraditos, ceviche, and all these dishes that we take as Peruvian food, but if it was not because of these influences from other countries, we would have. So basically, that is Nikkei cuisine. And to finish answering the question of Ryan, I think Maido didn't create Nikkei cuisine, but was the first restaurant to put the name Nikkei in their logo, basically, to say we are not Japanese, we are not Peruvian, we are Nikkei. And at first, I thought that was a mistake, because nobody came to the restaurant at the beginning, because people didn't know what to expect from the restaurant. People either were like, I want to have sushi, or I want to have Peruvian food. What are you? And I'm Nikkei. So and we were like more Japanese Nikkei in a way at the beginning. So we had to try to explain. We tried to explain what it was, and from there it took us like about 4 years for people to understand. And right now it's amazing to see that restaurants started to change, the Japanese or the cevicheria, for Nikkei, for a Nikkei concept. So I think that is amazing, and it's for me it's very beautiful to see how how in the world now Nikkei cuisine, I believe it's one of the concepts of Peruvian cuisine that is growing the most around the globe.
Have you been surprised at that growth? I mean, you mentioned a few, you mentioned Lamar, you mentioned Itamai, there's Lama Inn in New York. It does seem to be being widely accepted around the world. Has that surprised you, how well it's grown?
Um, it did surprise me. It was my dream, really. When you do something, I think we always in Peru think to share. So so now in Peru, one, two, three, four restaurants that are doing great are the owners are people that work with me, and they open their own restaurant. So the only thing I want is for them to do great. I tell them, if you wanna open a restaurant, do it well because you work with me, So so I help them a lot, and I'm happy for them. If you don't wanna, if it's for a better, to grow in your career, I always support that. And I think in other, I don't think maybe Miami it's more Latin in a way, but in the Middle East, a lot of Nikkei restaurants are opening. For example, in Europe, in Germany, in a small town, Gaston was telling me that he found a Nikkei restaurant in a hotel, in a five-star hotel. The chef was German, and he came to Peru for a month, and he opened a Nikkei restaurant. So it doesn't surprise me, and there's a reason for that. It's because I think Nikkei cuisine, Peruvian cuisine, I always say it's like salsa dura or hard rock in a way. We use a lot of spices. Our food is punchy. And Japanese food, I would say, is like classical music like Beethoven, or it's very into the product, a little sauce, but maybe for us something is missing. You want a bigger kick. But for the Asians, in a way, when they come to Peru and they taste Peruvian food, they see, okay, this has a lot of power. So like I would say that they are Peruvian food and Japanese food, they are very similar in a way, but are very, very different in a way. Very similar in regarding the way with the fish, raw fish, seafood, but the seasoning is different. When you get together these two cuisines, one very powerful and one very like into the product, very, very like, I would say, light in flavors, you get a balance. You get a balance, and the for example, the ceviche is not so spicy, not so citrusy, and the food becomes more balanced. So it's more, I like to use the word sexy. No, it is more sexy to the world, to the palates of the Europeans, for the Americans, for the Asians themselves. It's more, appealing. So it didn't surprise me. I think it's a nice way of showing our culture to the world because it's a very balanced cuisine in a way.
And you've been on this sort of business progression over the last few years with this new approach that we saw in the video. What is this philosophy of democratizing delicious? How does that look in a practical sense in the day-to-day running of your business? You've now got this chicken concept, then you've launched these sauces. Let's talk a little bit about that and how this has helped your business grow.
Well, the pandemic is one of the kickoff maybe of this. I had in mind doing the polleria because I think many or everybody here has tried at least once pollo a la brasa. Okay, Miami, there should be a bunch of them. And pollo a la brasa, for people who know, ceviche in Peru, in Lima, we have it. Of course, it's a national dish. But pollo a la brasa, it's once a week. It's once a week, and it's a family style. And it's one of the favorite foods. If you ask in the street, people would say pollo a la brasa, one of the top Peruvian dishes, for sure. So I always wanted to do a chicken restaurant, a wood fire roti. It's not roti, it's a wood fire chicken restaurant, and it's very popular because pollo a la brasa goes to the highest, I would say, sectors A to D. So anybody can have pollo a la brasa. Sometimes fish becomes really expensive, chicken doesn't. So, but the everyday work, the everyday life, of having a restaurant, you dream about things, but making them happen, many people think, okay, let's open more restaurants, more Maidos. We only have one. We don't plan to do more Maidos. And we said once, like many times, not once, but one time specifically, I was walking in the street, uh, and uh, three people approached me and they told me, hey, you know what? I would love to go to your restaurant, but I cannot for two reasons. I cannot get a reservation and it's too expensive. We would love to try your food where we are not able to do it. So I hope one day you do something for the people. And I was thinking about that, but I didn't have the time to do it. The pandemic.
How does it feel when your locals come up and stop you and say that? What did that do for you?
That gave me the fuel to really say, okay, one of the things that I think as a chef, for example, the most beautiful because you're gonna be here for a while and then we're gone, okay, is to leave a legacy. And in one way, what makes me happy really, it's to the more amount of people that can try something you do, I do, and not thousands, maybe not hundreds, but millions of people. I think gives you happiness. It's like giving, because I always get asked, and I got asked this question like in an interview 5 days ago. Oh, it should be amazing, actually, I was in Los Cabos in Mexico, and they asked me this question. It should be amazing when you get back home from work, and this wasn't a journalist. It's actually what it was a customer, and they were arguing if I was cooking for myself when I got back from work, and I said no. I order some delivery or whatever, but I'm not cooking for myself. I think you cook for yourself, for you have for a need, you have to eat, but you really cook. If I wanna cook, I'm gonna cook for somebody. I have to share it with somebody, because I think the cooking for yourself is just to feed yourself, but cooking is to share it. So basically, the more people you share it with, the more happy you are. How can I get to every part of the population of Peru? Maybe with a cevicheria I could, but I said pollo a la brasa can go to the Andes, can go to the Amazon, because there are some places where we don't have fish, or it's difficult to get it. So I said, so let's build the concept. We did it during the pandemic. We started with some ghosts or dark kitchens, and after it finished, we opened a restaurant, which we started to do very well. But to have chicken, you have to have sauces, because we love sauces. We love ajíes, mayonesa, vinagretas, all these beautiful things that go with the rice, with the chicken, with the French fries, etc. So we said we have to do sauces. And in Maido, as the video said, I'm a sauce person. I like to put sauces to everything. So since I was a kid, I was like doing my sauces in my house, and those sauces bases at the same time are the heart of Maido, basically. Actually, right now, what we do is we don't produce the sauces in Maido. We don't cook the bases. We get them, from the plant that we produce for the supermarkets also, because there are three bases that are the core of Maido's cuisine that actually people can get now and use it for the houses. So, but from there we started to do chili oil. Also, we started to do a sauce for sandwiches, a basis for doing huancaína, ají de gallina, sudados, tiraditos, chaufa. And people said, thank you, Micha, because now we can cook, and instead of start peeling, garlic, chopping onions, boiling chilies or ajíes, processing them, and I don't have the time. I just grab your sauce, put it, mix it with something, and I have my stew. So you make people lives easier, and that's when it started. So after the pandemic, when we were able to go out and eat in restaurants, well, we opened Tori, and we are in a plan of expansion now, which we're going to open 4 more restaurants of the chicken restaurant this year, and the next year we're planning to have 10. And there's a plan to bring the sauces to the United States very soon. So that's basically the structure.
How has the learning curve been? Because obviously it's very different to produce mass market, huge production, supermarket shelf sauces compared to Maido. What's that curve been like for you?
I didn't really know anything about producing into high volume, going to retail. So we did a joint venture with, I would say it's not a big, but it's a medium-sized company that develops sauces. Actually, they developed one of the most popular sauces, which is the ají de la casa. It was in Wong, and now it's in another supermarket. Basically, it's like an ají, but it doesn't. It's not so spicy. So even a kid can eat it. So that's the kind of sauce. Have you ever thought about? I want, and that happened to you. I'm sure about it. You have a sauce that you like so much that you don't focus in what you're gonna eat. Is just you wanna eat the sauce and you wanna grab something to put it on. Yeah, so that's the kind of sauce that. So it's okay. I have this sauce. I want to have the sauce. So what should I cannot just put it in my mouth like this. So I have to put it in something. In a bread, in a potato. In a chicken, in whatever. So you have to you gotta get people addicted to your food. In a way, it's true. And that's what happened with this ají. He became a case of study. So we started developing with this company, the ají, is because the owner is a chef. So he really takes care, not just using powders and artificial flavors and artificial colors, but starting, as you saw in the video, people are with a wok there. They are walking, they're stir frying our onions, garlic, and ajíes in a wok. That's the way we have 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 30 woks working with people, like giving the smokiness to the sauces. We don't start with pastes. We don't start with flavors, artificial flavors. We start with organic ají amarillo. So from there we take it. So I said, how can we do this? So to make it industrial. So okay, so if it's refrigerated, it would last 3 months. So that's the way we started supermarket. Well, that's why you see there's a fridge. And then the next step was, okay, but this is impossible to take to the world because 3 months and exporting the sauces, you're not gonna make it. So now, how are we gonna make these sauces last 1 year or 9 months without refrigeration? So that took us 3 years. 3 years of mistakes, of trying, of buying, new machines, until we got to the formula where we got the flavor, but not the color. The color changed because we use what we call, I don't know how to say that in English, but it's called autoclavadora. It's like a pasteurizer, but it brings up to 400 degrees the sauce and then brings it down to 10 degrees in almost less than 10 minutes. But when that happens, the color of the sauce inside changes because you gotta put it with the package in. So the sauce that was yellow came out red. So he said, no, the color is important. So we had to change some ingredients. And now we made it. We have the flavors from from natural ingredients, and they last 9 to 12 months. So right, this happened 2 weeks ago. So basically, now we are gonna be able to bring it to the world. So people are gonna be able to cook not only houses but restaurants, hotels. Every time is a challenge to get more labor.
And now it can sit on the shelf
On the
competing with
shelf
other
for 9 months to 12. Yeah.
Yeah, and you don't need to ask the supermarket to have your own fridge, which,
Right. So
real estate is difficult to get in a supermarket, isn't it? So
yeah, so basically, we were waiting for this moment, and 2 weeks ago we tried all the sauces. They went through the inspection. They're okay, and the flavor hasn't changed.
selfishly, as a consumer, I love it when chefs do this. And I also have this theory that we trust chefs in society. Trust is eroding with many of the bigger states. We don't trust media. We don't trust government. We don't trust politics. We really start to question trust lately. Whereas with chefs, trust remains high. And this is testament to why we allow them to work for the UN or get involved in educational curriculums. We let chefs step way out of the kitchen. And so I love it as a consumer when I see a chef that I know and trust, and then I can taste their product, put it in my trolley and take it home. What I'm interested in is why don't more chefs do this? It's obviously good for business. We don't need to get into numbers, but I make a lot more money selling sauces in the supermarket than running a Maido restaurant. Why do more chefs not get involved in this? Why are more not taking this approach, do you think?
Because it's not easy in a way. What we have done, I think, it's easy to do like industrial sauces, but when you eat it, you feel that it's not natural. So believe me, we invested, a lot of money and a lot of time in developing these sauces. And sometimes we said, even together with our partner, which is 100%, expert in doing sauces. They told me, Micha, I don't think we're gonna be able to. That's why all the sauces in the world, they don't start from natural ingredients. There's a reason why, and they say there has to be a way. So basically, and that happened to Maido with me. Is when you open a restaurant and you don't do well the first year and the second year and the third year, is when you're gonna fail, when you're gonna say, okay, this is the end. I failed. I didn't succeed. So that depends, of course. If you are able to keep on paying the payroll and the purveyors, of course. If not, you have to close. But if not, is to be perseverant. You have to. Okay, let's do it. We're gonna do it. I will wait. I mean, even they still told me, Micha, I think it's an impossible. So they say, no, let's give it one more try and one more try. So don't. We didn't give up. So that's maybe why, because we did also, of course, the easiest way of going to that position of being able to be in a shelf life of 12 months with using like alternatives, but the flavor wasn't the flavor we wanted. And I said, as you said, if you trust chefs, I'm not gonna put something, or give you or sell you something that you're gonna try in your house and say this doesn't taste, the way I used to taste it at home, because we really want to have if you make ají de gallina, which is maybe the most popular homemade dish in Peru, that's the kind of dish you don't usually put in a restaurant, because the answer you're gonna get always is my mom's ají de gallina is better all the time. It's like Italy, making, maybe pasta or whatever. Yeah, in a restaurant. But I would say that we managed to get that like home comfort flavors, and that's maybe why, because doing that for a chef that really wants to do it well has not been done before, in that way. That's why.
As well, starting from fine dining, you set a certain standard at that level of cooking, and you have forced others in an industrial sense to follow the standards that you set at Maido.
Yes, I like everybody likes tasty food, but it's like, yeah, I think Maido is like, the first time we met with Ryan, we talked about umami, so it's how do we bring umami out, and at that time people in Peru said umami, and it's like, what's umami, so umami is everything. Umami, the first moment that we try umami when we are born, because it's what we're feed on, in the breast milk. So basically, that's full of umami in a way.
The first taste.
Yeah, that's the first contact with umami you have as a human. So basically, but besides that, it's also price. It's making something good, not expensive. Of course, I don't like to. It's not cheap. Is not the word at all. But for example, the chicken restaurant, the average check is $8 per person. You have a nice big thigh of chicken with a quarter. It's a chicken cut into 4 pieces. It's a 1 kilo 500 chicken raw that loses about, I would say, 300 grams in cooking while it's cooking. So you have a 1,200 gram, 1 kilo 200 chicken cut into 3. So you have a big nice portion of chicken with 2 garnishes, has 2 sides, rice and fried potatoes, or salad, or potato salad, or well, the many sides we have, plus chicha morada or water or whatever drink you wanna have, $8. So that means that with that average check, anybody can come to the restaurant. It's not exclusive; it's inclusive. So that's why we have so many people coming. We do like about on a Sunday we can do in one of the restaurants we can do about 1,000 covers plus the delivery. So that's like about with the three kitchens that we have plus the restaurant in total we can do up to 2,500 to 3,000 chickens a day. So
And
at $8 per person.
I feel how proud you are about this, about feeding this wider audience. Without getting into details, how has this impacted your overall business? I imagine this has been healthy for your business, this decision.
Uh, yes, the last 6 months, because because the first 2.5 years, actually it totally became 3 years in February. So yes, it's about because we opened 2020, around 20, yeah, 3.5 years maybe. But the first 2 years was the same thing as Maido, the same thing as I always say, you know what? I don't want to open anything more because like it's invested. It's like every month was okay. So let me check the profit, the P&L. Okay, so there's no money in the bank account. So you gotta either because yeah, because I'm the owner, So it's not a company. I just not call the corporation and say send me, about 300,000 or $400,000 to pay these things I had to pay.
Yeah, I refuse to add additives. It's going to take 2 more years.
Yeah, so I said, and the last one, and it's incredible because when we became 2.5 years, I said every month I had to put money into the restaurant, even though we were full. But this was like a marketing strategy because we had every restaurant really. We got chicken restaurant after the pandemic. Of course, all of us suffered because of the pandemic. So the first thing that people do usually is reduce quality, reduce portions, and charge the same amount of money. So we're gonna do the opposite. We're gonna put the best ingredients and we're gonna charge less. So of course our food cost was around 65%, but that was on purpose. I said because chicken restaurants, in a way, many Peruvians have their chicken restaurant that they have been going for 30 years. So why should they come to mine? Because in this market, in the chicken market, it doesn't matter if there's a chef. There's no a chicken. There doesn't exist a chicken restaurant with a chef. This is just a brand. So there I was, with a chicken, and they say, "Oh, that should be expensive," And I'm like, okay, so people associate if I was there that it was expensive, and I said, no, it's $8 per person. So people started to talk about the restaurant, and I believe we have a great product. So we had it full every day, but we were losing money. We changed, the prices and everything. It went better, but we also kept on losing money. And one day I said, "This is the last month I'm gonna subsidize the restaurant. If it doesn't work, we close it." The same as Maido, same story. And that month we ended up break even. And from there, it started to grow. The economy started to grow also. And now I can say we are in a good moment. Yes.
And I know you've enjoyed learning about marketing, learning about branding, and you say that, it's not about
I like
chef,
it actually.
it's about the brand. So what's been that journey a little bit in trying to create the Tori brand or create the brand around the sauces for you?
Yes, actually, in the sauces in Maido, in Tori. Well, now we hired it's for social media, but we don't have a company that takes care about our publicity, advertising, marketing, because I like to do that also. Actually, Mariana, My fiance, she's into marketing, and she helped me a lot with that also. She's very good at it, but I like to do it myself in a way. So the brand, the name, everything, like in the sauces, in Tori, in Maido, we got together with a designer, and I said, to this, that, and that, and we started like small in a way, And now we are of course trying to redesign some things, but for me, always marketing has been something besides cooking. But because in a way, always you have to use marketing in your everyday life. You have to. Some people that are into marketing say that everything, all what you do is marketing
Yeah,
in
everything.
life. Finally.
Everything. We're coming to the audience next, so if you've got some questions, please get ready to raise your hands. I do expect questions as well. As I said, this is an active audience. We want you to participate. Before we do that, there's probably some chefs in the audience that dream one day of taking that step that you've done and having something that's so wide-reaching. What advice would you give to those people?
Just be patient, patient, and plan yourself very well, because as I told the story, I'm not trying to just say, okay, everything got successful really quickly. It's so easy to make it. You know how hard it is. Chefs know how hard it is. You gotta be no pain, no gain. It's like you gotta keep on working on that. If you have a dream, just don't, as we say, but don't throw the towel so easily. Think about a backup money all the time to have it there in case it doesn't work the way you think it's gonna work. Always put yourself in the worst case scenario, and from there take it. And finally, if you are doing something with quality and something that it doesn't fail at all, if you have a good product, the word to word, the mouth to mouth, it always works. It takes longer, but it finally works, because you can have a huge advertising campaign. You can pack your restaurant for months, but if you're doing something that people don't like, or you don't take real care of what you're doing, you're gonna be packed for a year maybe, but then it's gonna be empty. So you rather start slow, and then people talk about it. Friends talk to friends, and friends and friends, and finally works. Mouth to mouth is unbeatable.
And final question, bringing it back to the theme of this event, which is growth. What has been your growth throughout this journey? What have you taken from this journey?
Well, many things. First of all, I think that in this journey, I'm not gonna talk about only the sauces and Tori. I want to talk about Maido also. I think one of the biggest assets you have, it's your team. It's your team. If you don't have a good team, you are not. I wouldn't be able to be sitting here, and I think that empowering them, actually giving them the opportunity, if they are really good at what they do, to even sometimes give them the equity of the company, just not have them like a part of like an employees. But if they really have the talent, try to put the spotlight into them, to make them famous, to make them, for example, Florencia, our sommelier. When we started, the only thing I want, if you want to do an interview about wines, I know about wines, but I'm not a sommelier. Talk to Florencia. If you want to talk about cocktails, talk to Javier. If you want to talk about service, talk to my maitre, talk to Juan. So don't get all the credit yourself. It's like, give the credit to the people that do the job, and empower them, and make them feel proud, and make them feel part of the restaurant. In Tori is the same. I'm never in the picture. In the picture is the chef of the restaurant. The managers. They give the marketing manager also. They take the pictures. They are on the interviews. No, I'm not there. I'm not there anymore, because the brand needs to grow by itself, not with me. Uh, and I think it's the biggest growth regarding I would say knowledge or the way I work. No, I'm not going to talk about how many stores or how much we grew as a company. But I'm talking about humans. I'm talking about human resources. I'm not going to talk about people. The way to keep the people that are really talented with you for a long time or for a lifetime. And the only way of doing that is to do something. For example, in a long-term way of thinking, I'm planning to, for example, at one point, keep all of my head chefs to take care of Maido, of course, give to the sous chef to become the chef of the restaurant, and make the other my head chefs now become corporate and take care of of other concepts that we can build with equity. So they are not only working for me; they are my partners. So I think that's it. That's the way to always have people motivated, and working together with you and grow. So if you have the talent with you, don't let it go. Try to keep it with you. And the only way to do it is to make them part of the business. I think that's the biggest learning I had.
It feels to me like you've also managed to sort of tame the beast that lots of chefs struggle with, which is ego. And when I asked earlier why many chefs don't do these more democratic products, I think sometimes ego gets in the way. Like, I'm too big for a supermarket. So hearing your answers there and the way you put it, I feel like you've worked on that.
Right, and you know me, so yeah, baby, yeah, that's true. I really started to take every time a little step, to the right, or to the left, I don't know, but and try to push, For example, I want to give you, I don't know what time it is, but Antonio's gonna get mad. What's Antonio? It's, um, it's just pushing them because Oscar, who is my head chef, because in Maido we divided by the barra, which is the cold kitchen, the hot kitchen, the pastry. So they have to have three kinds because these are specialty kitchens that they cannot be managed by only one person. You gotta, for example, we do some sushi also, so not everybody can do that. So basically, but especially Oscar, when he started, he's a great cook, but he didn't talk. He couldn't go to a table. And all of a sudden, he told me, I want to grow. And I said, you have to start to talking. You have to start going to the tables, asking. And right now, he goes to the tables. He's the best, talking to the people. And I see how he evolved, you know what I'm saying? Because he wants to take more responsibility and stuff. So it's that, I think for chefs to empower their team, and as you said, not caring if you are, it's better when it's not depending only of you, because if you're not there, sometimes they will feel happy if they find the other chef that they already know. So they don't feel, oh, so Micha's not here, so food's not gonna be good. That doesn't work like that, and every chef knows that you're not making the food itself for that person all the time. There's somebody else doing it. So you don't need to have a great ego. You gotta share everything. If you win, everybody has to win in your restaurant, and everybody has to be in the picture, not only you.